Aloha Big Wave Trading family. Stock staged, pretty solid session on Monday. I do not have any qualms with it. This was a good follow through to Friday's bullish reversal at the 200-day moving average for the Russell 2000, 200-day moving average for the S&P 500, right above the 200-day moving average for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and right above the 200-day moving average for the NASDAQ. So nice follow through. Now volume might have been lower than Friday's session, but the good news for the bulls is more constructive action was done in the upper half of the intraday price range than in the lower half on all of the indexes. That's why you got those close near the top, almost looks like candle over candle hammer patterns on a lot of these indexes, and volume was above average. So constructive day nonetheless. That being said, call it a bottom, call it a top, call it the middle. I don't care. I call it nothing. It is what it is. It's the stock market. Right now, it's day 2 of a new rally attempt. How do the individual stocks look at the start of this new rally attempt? Not good. My scans are okay. CanSlim scan, after I went through the CanSlim stocks, excellent breadth. Only wrote down about a handful of stocks. Didn't flag any of them for serious longs. That looked like that was going to be a bad harbinger of things to come with my scans. But as I started to go through the scans, there were a little bit better stocks, but still so many need a lot of work, either via consolidation, backing and filling, retesting previous lows and seeing if volume is good or correct. There's just a lot of slop out there. But all of that being said, I still found 3 stocks that are good for new long positions and 1 stock as an ad signal. I also got a near handful of speculative positions, 2 new, 2 ads on the spec side. So I was extremely impressed overall, despite the overall lackluster long scans that I go through each evening. So with that being said, first one I want to go over is PENN. I was just long P&K. I was shaken out of all of it. P&K is being acquired by PENN, and today's session very constructive. Earnings are out of the way with its price action following the market sell-off. I guess we could call this an earnings winner, if you will. Candle over candle price bar on heavier volume and BOP confirmation. So with PEN being a perfect speculator quality stock, it's in my PS scan, and with it being confirmed in my tertiary scan, I want to get long. When I get long, limit order, high day, 28.14. My first cut loss level, that low right there, 26.81. I don't risk much before I know I'm wrong. And then my final cut loss level, 25.82. The low risk in all of these new long signals is extremely small compared to the previous uptrend. The only problem is the overall market, but if you position size correctly, you should be good. 2% for PEN for me. And that's going to be the most I put towards any of these trades. PEN, USAT, FWRD, SPPI only gets 1%. So once again, very small positions to test the market waters. I don't have enough beautiful charts to be like, oh yeah, these are definitely going to lead the market higher. The market looks okay off the recent lows. We got some fear last week, but there's a lot of resistance to go through, and there's not enough good-looking individual stocks out there for me to think that we're going to V-ramp to new highs. Plus, we're in the middle of February, the 3rd worst month of the year for stock market returns, so keep all that in mind. But PEN, 2% of my account capital, 28.14. First stop, 26.81. Final stop, 25.82. Then FWRD, same thing. Ugly market day while releasing earnings, but the next day, Friday, nice support, nice bullish intraday reversal. Today on Monday, tried to test those lows, got a bullish candle over candle on above average volume, and BOP's increasing. It never lost its green BOP during the pullback, and in fact, most of the days of the pullback was on lower volume outside of the one earnings day, and now it's moving higher, candle over candle, heavier volume, BOP confirmation. So with the low risk in this stock, this was pretty clear cut. Want to get long, 56.09, the high of the day. And your one and only cut loss level for this ad is 53.85. Now for me, I'm going to do half here. And in fair disclosure, I'm going to keep my second half here for now. This chart loses any of that green BOP catalyst or starts pulling back, I'm going to be moving all of my stops back up to this to that low right there on Friday. But once again, previous uptrend, pretty solid compared to the risk that I take for going long. But FWRD was in my CanSlim scan, semi-CanSlim, Didn't get flagged there, though. Got flagged in my price volume bop surge scan. Also made my green bop for the past 20-day scan. So pretty good long. But with it being canceling and price volume bop, semi-canceling, excuse me, it's 2% of my account capital, 5609, 5385. And the best overall, my favorite signal for the evening, does not mean it's going to work. And in fact, I bet you it fails. I guarantee you it fails, since I kind of like it, don't love it. But it's USAT. Tried to get long, USAT back here. It didn't work out. Tried to add to it here. Didn't work out. Well, following a very solid session following earnings and a good retest of the gap up fill lows on heavier volume with a bullish overall intraday price action, even though it didn't close higher than where it opened, it did a lot more work in the upper end of the range than the lower end. And today we get the candle over candle, close above the 50-day moving average and near the high of the day. Above average heavier volume with BOP moving back up to max green BOP. So it was max green on the gap up, started to lose it, but boom, nice recovery. So with USAT, perfect speculator quality stock, canceling quality stock, but we can kind of call it a semi-canceling quality stock since it's a low price name. And with it also being in my price volume BOP surge scan, this one was the most obvious out of all the new long positions. But like I said, low price, tough market, so invest accordingly. Normally it'd be 2% perfect speculator, 2% canceling, 1% price volume BOP, 5%, but it's extended from either the 20 or 10-day moving average, so it's 2.5%. And I want to go ahead and even reduce it further since the 20-day moving average is trending lower, even though it is touching the 20-day moving average, so 1.75% basically. That's the signal that I'm getting for it, 1.75%, even though I have it listed as 2% on the new positions page. But the gist of it is 915 limit order. You can use 925 also. It's not exempt from the 20, but it's moving lower. If stocks gap down, I don't want to chase at all. So 915, first cut loss level right there. Moves below 870, hits 865 on my half. Final cut loss level right there. Moves below 835 and hits 830, I'll be all out. Now, I might use 825 as that's the gap fill. So I'm going to probably have first stop at 865, my final stop at 825, gap fill. And then the final signal, SPPI. SPPI was in my is a perfect speculator quality stock, obviously. There we go. Let's open it up so you can see that it closed higher than where it opened with all of that beautiful green BOP in this stock and the nice previous uptrend. Original long signal was here. Worked out for me. But on this session here, I moved all of my stops to this day's low a day. I was clipped out of it intraday the very next day. It's moved higher since. I now have a candle over candle price bar. Even though volume's not that strong, it's still heavier than the lower volume bars leading into these 2 days of positive price action bars. And even though BOP isn't necessarily trending higher overall, green BOP is higher than the previous green BOP session. There's only one red BOP in this stock since that last previous strong uptrend started, and it was an up day. So overall, this makes every criteria that I needed to make. So with the candle over candle, it's an add signal from my perfect speculator scan, but it's also basically a buyback since I got shaken out. But when I get long, SPPI, 1% of my account capital, high of the day, 2082. First cut loss level, today's low of day, 1949. Final cut loss level, 1884. Now I might be getting cute with some of the previous support levels since I should still be long this stock, but you can guarantee if it moves below this level right here, I'll be out of half. And if I happen to use this level or this level as quarter stops for this final half, we'll see how the market acts overall. If this low goes, these stops will be getting raised if I do decide to do that. So just keep that in mind. Sell signals, HLG. 20% profit taking signal. RSI hit 84 today. It was like at 79.45 following Friday's session. This is a legit 20% profit taking signal, even though the stock's only up 21%. It is what it is. It's a 20% profit taking signal. Rules are rules, and you can see it's a little extended short term, so it kind of makes sense overall. And then IO, even though the long signal was here and it gapped up and I didn't get a position, if you did get a position and you have 120% gain, you need to take 20% of it off the table with the RSI above 80 following Monday session. 50% sell signals, ERI, this one's pretty clear cut. Another close below the 50-day moving average on above average volume, but Since the original long position in ERI, I am still up 35%. That's well over 25%. If this session would have came with red bop, I would have moved to whatever I'm still long, which I'm not long anything. I got knocked all out on Friday, so I got nothing left. But if I was still long and this was a red bop day, half would go here, the final half here. But either way, that's how it has to happen anyway, because it's an above average volume closed below the 50-day moving average. Now, if ERI would have closed below this low, it's a bona fide 100% full sell signal. But with it still being up 35%, still holding Friday's low a day, it's only a 50% sell signal. And WTT, you could sell it all if you want, but it still missed my final stop by 1 cent. 211 is my final stop. The 126 low a day, that's where it closed today. So 1 cent below my final stop of 211 is what? 210. So if it hits 210 tomorrow, I will be knocked completely out of WTT on an end-of-day basis. I'm not listing as a full sell signal because not only is it closing below the signal date's low a day on below average volume and lower volume than the session before, but BOP is actually increasing to a higher green level. Now, if it would have lost any amount of green BOP to yellow per se, even with the lower volume, this would have been a full sell signal. But it's still 1 cent above my final stop, so we'll keep it as that. And then the only 100% end-of-day sell signal, CSPI. This is why you should always obey stops. This is how I handled the stock. Got a long signal here. Because it gapped and opened below 1544 and opened at 1522, I did not use 1544 as my first stop and initiated it with 1424 as my one and only stop. Now, the very next day, it tested 1522, went below it at 1516 while losing max green BOP. So now, following this session, I then split up my stops. I can't remember how many shares it was, so let's pretend like it's 100. I then put 50 below 1516 at 1515 and had the final half at 1524. The very next day is good, but the next day, boom, sells off, moves below 1516 at 1456, knocking me out of half of my remaining position. But because this day now closes at 1505, closing below 1544 and below 1516 at 1505, I then have my 50 shares remaining split up between 1456, 25 shares, and then the final 25 shares at 1425. Intraday today, shortly after the morning, the first and final half went, and then later on the final half went at 1425. I can't remember where I got filled. I got to go check it. Sorry. But bottom line is, if you're not using stops, you now have a larger than you want loss. The total loss is not 19% because the next day it gapped down so much. So you lost a total of 16% if you didn't use stops. If you use stops, you probably kept your total loss on the position like I did to under 10%. I lost about 9% total on the position. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up here. I will see you in the chat room on Tuesday. Aloha.